Welcome
Hey, Linda, how
in.
you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing excellent. We're surviving the rainy season in Florida.
And we skipped spring. We went from winter to upper 90s. So tomorrow we get a break. It's only going to be in the 80s. So we're
Yeah,
excited for that.
we're getting a break today. It's only in the 80s. It's been in the high 90s, but then we get that afternoon rain, and it cools it down, but it sure mugs it up.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet.
so
I'll bet.
so we have an interesting topic today, and we titled it "Why Money Matters," and a lot of this has to do with our mindsets. As we were talking before we came on the show, and we've both been in sessions with our mentors where we talk about just how we talk about money.
Right.
And I think for the most part, and with my financial coaching clients, the biggest problem, the biggest thing I have to be able to get them to do is to change that mindset.
And it does start there. It starts with how we think about money and how we talk about money. And it's not just externally, it's internally.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And my specialty is self-care, but there is self-care around your finances.
Yeah.
And you hear a lot of people, and I've even caught myself in the past saying, it's not, the money doesn't matter.
No. Yeah.
Now, if you live on the North American continent, I don't know about anywhere else, but if you live on the North American continent, whether you like it or not, money matters.
Yep, it does.
And I think when we use that terminology, what we're trying to say is it's important, but it's not the primary goal.
Right.
Which is fine. You don't want to be, everything is not about the money. But unfortunately, the having or the lack of money dictates a lot of other things in your life.
Right.
And when we've heard from Paul and we know from our own experience, words matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, when you say money doesn't matter, well, if you said your wife or your husband didn't matter, do you think they'd stick around very long?
No, not for long.
not for long, and certainly not very quietly.
Right.
And we need to approach it that way. It's not, we're not, it's different than greed, money grubbing, and trying to get more than we should because we want to hurt somebody else.
Right.
That's a different kind of mindset. But it's a prosperity mindset, and it's a mindset that we recognize that money is a necessary part of our lives.
Yep.
And we want to welcome that money in so that we can do the things that we want to do and have the things we want to have. And that goes into self-care. I can guarantee you that if you can't make your monthly bills, self-care isn't a big priority for you. And it snowballs and it escalates and it rolls over and over. And so it's just part of the overall mindset for things. But, I mean, what do you tell your clients, Sam?
Well, one of the first things I try to determine is what is your mindset when it comes to giving? Because we've been taught, you and I, with our mentors and everything else, if you're stingy, not a giver when you don't have money, you're going to be the same way when you do have money. And then, in my opinion, do you deserve that money? Right. So, and trust me, there are people out there who are multi-millionaires and stuff like that. And there's, you look at them and you say, how did they do it? Right. But and I have people start, if I'm coaching them, they have to, and I do this, and Linda, my financial situation with the family here and everything else. And I still do this. And that's, Wealth Wednesday. You do it on Wednesday just because the wealth and the Wednesday goes together, right?
Right.
Because there's nothing fancy about it. But it's one of to have a financial transaction benefiting somebody else when there's no return to me, none, where there's no possibility of return, and that's not like some people say, well, when how I do Wealth Wednesday is when I go through the drive-through at Starbucks, I buy the person's coffee behind me. That's kind of sort of okay, but it's one of those where there's a lot of people doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there is the potential for that to come back. I'm not saying that's not a good thing if that's all you can do today, but there are all sorts of ways of giving where nobody knows that will benefit you. And here's the thing, it begins to change what goes on up here. And once this starts changing and you realize that there is a free flow of money, you say, well, Sam, I don't have it. Well, I've got 50 cents right here. All right. And that's another mindset thing that I keep right there for a reason. But that 50 cents, while it may not mean a whole lot to me or you, 50 cents put with somebody else's 50 cents with somebody else's 50 cents, you put a couple of them together and a guy that's standing on a street corner can buy a meal.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't give a lot of times when, panhandlers, I guess, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what word you want to use from. There are a lot of folks here in Florida. It's nice weather and people can do that and everything. But if I'm prompted to give,
Mm-hmm.
I give. And it's, whatever I have in my pocket. Sometimes it's a buck or two, but the fact of the matter is you have to be willing to do that when you're prompted. One of the things that is so easy to do and once again, no way for it to return to me is in a grocery store, I'll buy $5 gift cards. And so if I'm at Winn-Dixie or Publix or whatever, I'll get a $5 gift card or two. I'll give it to the clerk and say, here, give this to somebody. Now that happens twice. So there's no way that clerk has any way to return to me. Right. And then now she gets to give it to somebody.
Right.
And somebody said to me, what if she keeps it? Well, then she needed it. Right. So, and then the next thing is to change the way you talk about money. I'm broke. No. In the past, I've made some bad decisions about how I handle my money, but I'm getting better at it day by day. So, and you and I, when we hear those differences, we know what that means.
Right.
But if this is the first time you're hearing that, just stop and think about that. If you're constantly running short of money and you're constantly telling yourself and you're speaking it out loud, I'm broke, you're broke, and you're going to remain that way. We have a good friend that we just talked about, and she has a really good mindset when it comes to money, and there are folks that are like that, and we're both believers, and God works in mysterious ways, and there have been things, honestly, over the course of the last 2 years that have happened that I can count the miracles, I can count everything, and so, but I struggle just like everybody else with the mindset of I've made some bad decisions in the past. So, and I'll full disclosure here. It was 4 years ago, 3 years ago, somewhere thereabouts. My wife and I lost everything in a business deal that went south. Okay. Without getting into the details, not pointing any fingers, we researched, we prayed, we did everything that we felt was right. We invested in a business that had been around for close to 15 years at the time. And within 6 months, it got shut down. Federal Trade Commission shut it down. So we lost everything. It was a legitimate business. There have been no, there have been no prosecutions. There have been no criminal activity. or anything like that. It was a very, very legitimate business, and it's not unlike what we do today when we sell our products and everything else online. Anyway, it took me, and I still struggle. It took me a long, long time to get over the fact that I was a failure. I failed at that. I failed our family. We lost everything, right? And it wasn't until I discovered the John Maxwell team at about the time that everything crashed. But who I really discovered was Paul Martinelli.
Mm.
And it was through the John Maxwell team. And I did everything I could to be on his calls every week. Him and Chris Robinson, but just because, well, if you're watching this on the Empowered Living platform, you know who Paul is, you know the gold that he brings, but every week he would bring gold. And there were times, we laugh about his marathon calls, right?
Yeah.
He would
Last
stay
man
on.
standing.
Yeah. And that helped to change my mindset back. And I was already involved with Ramsey Solutions. So I should have had a better mindset about it. But that devastated me for such a time. And I honestly, it still stings. It still stings. But I do have a little better mindset about it. But it is a constant. I have to remind myself the mistakes I made in the past, while I've learned from them,
Mm-hmm.
that's the positive. They're not who I am. It's not who I am, right? And so that's some of the first things that I'm upfront with my coaching clients. This is what happened. This is where I've been. If you think if I have a financial coaching client, I tell them, if you think I haven't seen it or done it, right? You're sadly mistaken, because in all the people I've talked to and some of the silly mistakes that I've made over the years with finances, I can relate to. And so the problem that we're talking about, the self-care side of it too. Here's what happens when you're struggling financially. You don't sleep.
Right.
You don't sleep. Pure and simple. You don't eat right. A lot of folks who are struggling financially binge eat.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe they're not gaining a lot of weight or anything, but they're not eating healthy. I'll be honest with you, with me, when I go on it's chips, totally worthless food, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'll eat a whole bag of chips, and that's not good for me. The salt and all that kind of stuff. So those are two things that you really everything snowballs from there. If you don't get enough sleep, your body doesn't heal, you're not refreshed. Now the next day you're tired. Now you make bad decisions, and boom, 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 right down the line. And so it is really hard to break that habit without talking to somebody, without having a coach, without having somebody like you or I on your team when it comes to either coaching you through the financial side of it or coaching you through the self-care side of it. It's a hand-in-hand process, right? And so those mindsets have to change. I'll be honest with you, if people will, I know with your programs, if people will do the work, they'll get better, right?
Right.
You've seen the success. I know with my program, if people will do the work when it comes to finances, their finances will get better. And I have several families in the last couple of years who now will retire as millionaires. And are they ultra rich? No, but they don't have to worry, number one, about their kids' education. They don't have to worry about where they're going to live when they retire. And so it's just one of those, it all starts with your thought process and your mindset. And then, are you willing to do the work? It's always about, are you willing to do the work? Right.
And that's the big thing, whether it's self-care, whether it's finances, whether it's anything that we're working on. We do have to be willing to do the work. That was always one of the things that bothered me about when people talk about manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you manifest by making it welcome and thinking that, but then you have to actually take the action to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't just sit back and ta-da, I'm putting the energy out there and I didn't have to do anything else.
Right.
No, you put the energy out there and then you do the action that follows in the energy.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know what to do, so you just wait, do that guidance, but do something,
Yeah. Yeah.
just take that next step because that's all you can do anyway.
Yeah.
And
I,
so,
it's funny. I knew this couple in Los Angeles, and you talk about manifesting it and the thought process and everything else. And they were living in a really small place, renting, and they had their eye on this house. They showed it to us, and this is this is going to be our house someday. And my thought process is, wow, that's a great dream, and that's so they have a plan. No, they didn't have a plan. He was working part-time at the time. I don't think she was working. I can't remember exactly the dynamics there when it came to their individual. They just literally believed it would fall into their lap if they just thought about it. I said, you got to do something. I said, first off, you don't even know what the house, what it's worth, what it cost. Oh, that doesn't matter. My head just wanted to explode at that point in time. And it's a true story, and it got a little bit deeper than that. And the pastor in me came out, and that probably didn't end as well as it should have, but there was no real thought process that would bring a manifestation about.
because if truly that's going to be your home, then like for any other home you were looking for, you would know, is it on the market? What's it? What are they asking for? What needs to be done? And you can see yourself living in a place, but short of an inheritance that the person that owns that home dying and leaving it to you,
yeah.
they're still going to require some interference from you.
Yes.
Some activity from you in order for it to become yours.
Yeah.
And that means, get with a realtor, look at homes very similar to that, and get into the space of being the homeowner of that home.
Right.
And not just putting your feet up going, okay, I told God that's what I want. That's what God's going to give me. God might show you how to get there, but he's not going to do it for you.
Yeah. Not Santa Claus.
Yeah. We're not, it's not that kind of miracles.
Right.
Now, I could see if like there were, maybe a relative that, this was a house just perfect for them and they had health issues, and that would be the answer to that kind of prayer. I could see that. And it's like that with self-care as well. We need to take part. We need to participate. I can't sit back and just say, I'm going to be 100% healthy and then not eat right, not get exercise, which, I'm terrible. I sit in my chair in front of my computer all day.
Yeah.
I still have to do the things that I can do to make that happen, the things that are within my sphere to do.
Yeah. And so, we've titled this Why Money Matters. Money matters because there is a peace that you can have when your money is managed properly. And it doesn't matter how much or how little you have. If you are managing it properly, if you are taking care of your money properly, if you are taking care of yourself in relationship to your money, then it will all work out. It matters. And in our society today, money matters because money matters. We have everyday expenses, we have living expenses, we have housing expenses, and
I can't go to my local grocery store and barter for groceries. I can't go to the gas station and barter for gas.
Right.
Whether we like it or not, money matters.
Yep.
And we need to, when we can get in harmony with our money, our financials, it relieves a lot of stress, which then helps you in your health. It helps you in your self-care. All of it works together. There's no standalone pieces.
Right. And that's what it's all about. It's all about living that life in harmony. And money is a big part of that. It's why we've included in the title of our show. It's why we
Yeah.
talk about it so often. It is very, very important to have the right mindset. So I would encourage you, when you sit down this month to do your bills, what's your mindset? What are you thinking? And if you're having issues or having problems, reach out to Linda and I. We can set you off in the right direction, but we can definitely give you the steps that you need to get started. And between the financial side of it and the self-care side of it, they go hand in hand, folks. They go hand in hand. So, Linda, we're about out of time. It has been a great day today.
Yes, it has.
I thank you for this topic, and we'll see you next week.
That's right. Hang in there, everybody, and be blessed.
Yep, be blessed. See you later.
That's your alert. Your line, Sam.